That's all I have. I'm gonna head back. Oh yeah, there's nothing.
Hello everyone, Curtis White here from the Cannondale CyclocrossWorld.com team, and today we are racing the X20 Badkamers Trofee, the Azencross in Herentals. It's a new course this year, and today is around 55 degrees Fahrenheit or about 12-13 degrees centigrade, and it's been raining for the last couple days. And the course is an entirely different feel to yesterday's track in Essen. We are on what would normally be flowy trails in the woods, right on a small ski hill just outside of Antwerp. So there's some good elevation in the second half of this lap. Now we're swinging into pit 1 here. But my apologies for the mud on the lens here. Today's view of the course won't be as clear as the ones in the past, but I'll try to describe the layout as best I can with the lack of the visual. This will also give you an idea of what our glasses are looking like after a couple laps. So I try to clear this up a couple times, but we're exiting pit 2 here and we're bending left. But we had a wide open start straight, with plenty of room and time to shuffle around, set up for the hole shot, bending right into some heavy mud. Now through this course, we see a couple different kinds of mud sections. We'll see some really thick and heavy mud. We'll see some thinner mud that's a little bit more watered down, like what we're in right now. And then we'll have a couple greasy corners thrown in there where you're really swinging wide looking for that traction pouch on the outside of the corners. So today's track really requires a versatile effort and equipment choice. And today I was running Challenge Limas tires at 21-22 PSI, and that's around 1.4 to 1.5 bar. Now, some of these sections where the mud was really soupy and basically a big puddle, it's hard to gauge what's under the surface. And it could be hard packed surface underneath, really deep rut, or hidden rocks or roots under that surface. And it's just hard to tell, so it's important to not be afraid to get your feet wet and inspect what's below that muddy surface. So after exiting pit 1, we bent left into this type of pump track section with a couple puddles in there, exited the pump track, left sweeping right, and then we went into this wood section with a couple flowing corners. And it really is just single file through the section. Positioning is important. We're coming through this, bending to the right up this hill. Again, sorry for the mud on the lens. It was a very gritty and muddy course through the day. So if we're seeing this on the lens, imagine what we're going through with our glasses or having mud flowing up in our eyes and the face. It really was just a messy, messy race, and we were making a couple pit changes with getting clean equipment and clean bikes through the race, but it wasn't heavy mud that was clogging up the gears. It was really just wearing down the brake pads. So again, descending down on this flowing track through that big puddle, that turned into a really deep rut through the race. We saw a couple of unfortunate crashes there. Coming up the hill, that was torn up enough to where it was a little bit of a run up towards the end. Through that corner, there was a couple lines going around that outside corner around the tree. Again, a typical characteristic of Belgian races is seeing sometimes trees in the middle of the course, and it's just something you have to navigate around. Now we gained speed through this section, a couple ruts to the outside, and through this section there really wasn't a lot of hitting the brakes, as there was a lot of mud that was able to slow you down. If you trusted that there was a rut for you at the end of the corner, you could really just pedal through it and it's all about maintaining that momentum through the section, not slowing down and cutting down on those added efforts to get back up to speed. So it's a bit faster and flatter here. We have this bending corner onto the pavement. You're able to accelerate a little bit, get up to speed for the next section, take a breather before getting into this deeper mud again. A nice rut formed on the outside of this corner, again kind of having a more gentle arc around this, bending to the right, and we're on this straightaway heavier mud section. It got torn up a bit through the race, and this straightaway here provided an opportunity to pass a rider or two, but with this course being so heavy, you really need to be meticulous about where you pass and where you expend your efforts. And we'll see later on just how heavy the second half of this lap is, and you really want to show up to that part of the course fresh and rested or composed enough to be able to carry your speed and momentum through that and not go into the red. So we'll see a section. I'm trying that left line around that big puddle there. There was a nice rut that formed just on the inside, but you held it wide just on the outside. A little ridge we're going across. A couple rocks started to be exposed there, but nothing you couldn't go around or hop. So again, we'll start to see as the course builders are building this course, they're using some sort of ATV or whatever, going along the course and putting the posts in, and you'll see some really deep ruts through these sections where you'll see probably 6 to 8 inches wide, this rut that's really deep, all in the puddle, that has a really hard packed surface, but if you're pedaling, it's deep enough to where your pedals are hitting the ground surface, so it's could knock you a little unsteady, but we're onto a hard packed surface here. Take a breather, approaching a couple 180 turns just to really check the speed. And these are a couple corners where you may want to hold the outside, look for that green traction patch. Green means traction, green means go. I'm going to swing right here, look for that green traction outside that rut, and just try to carry my momentum the best I can and limit my use of the brakes. We're crossing the pavement, bending to the right. We're going to have a 180 left, and we're going right by pit 2 here. And I'm going to swing into the pit to talk to my mechanic, Mike Berry, just to lower the tire pressure here. You really want to have that balance of having enough tire pressure to be able to bounce off of any roots or rocks under the surface, but you also want that traction on these really greasy, muddy turns. So we're bending to the left after the pit. A nice rut was forming in there. And we'll have another opportunity just to catch our breath through this little sand section. Single lane through here, no passing. If you have that position, no one's passing you through there. Coming out, really bend the tape, try to carry momentum to the outside. And as we come out of that sand and we're approaching the barriers up ahead, we're going under the time checkpoint for the X20 Badkamers Trophy. It's a time-based series, so on the second lap there's time bonifications, just a top 3, 15, 10, and 5 seconds for the overall time bonus up and over the barriers. I've said this before, but typically for the X20 Badkamers Trophy, they run a little shorter barriers, I'm guessing 30 to 35 centimeters, and these seemed 5 to 6 meters apart. And now we're bent right and into this really heavy mud section. It pays to bunny hop those barriers to be able to get a little bit extra speed in the exit. The line that was forming was entering on the right, cutting over to the left, and you were onto the pavement just a little bit sooner than you would be if you held it all the way to the right. But we're onto some hard pack service here, cutting over a pavement straight away here. We're going to hop on the pavement for a few hundred meters. So this is really an opportunity to get back on terms with the group if you're chasing back, or just to keep it steady. Take a deep breath, compose yourself, because we're coming into the hardest part of the course. Now we're bending right, and we have 150 meters or so up this brick climb. It's really not that steep, but if you carry your momentum through that corner, up this climb, you can really just hold the speed steady. And this is really just another part of that diesel effort, is just maintaining the speed and momentum. And as we bend right, we're going to be coming onto this running track, and we're going to go about halfway around. So as we hop on the track here, you'll see a couple of the X20 Badkamers ducks here on the outside of the turn. In the race, we were really going so deep that it seemed like there were more of these ducks on the outside of the corner. But we bend to the left here, and this is really the last opportunity before we're going into this heavy wood section where you get to compose yourself. If you're not on the group, just focus on being steady and being consistent with your effort, because the last thing we want to do on this course is have sporadic accelerations. It really is all about maintaining your momentum and staying composed. So we get off the track here, bending to the left. There's a little bit of a bottleneck there, but the race is going to be so blown apart that you're really not going to be fighting for position all that much, especially later in the race. So we have a little bit of speed here. We have a hairpin turn to the right. I'm trying to ride up this, but in the race it got so torn apart that you're really just running down that last bit of a descent, or you're dismounting right at that corner. So I'm going to speed up this part of the course just because it's such a long and heavy climb. This part of the course is a little uphill. I was fresh enough to where I could ride it in the pre-ride, but this course is so heavy where we were running that in the race, and the course got so blown apart. And there was a part in this course, maybe 2 to 3 laps to go for the men's race. There was such a heavy downpour that there was a stream coming down this descent. And this last pitch too, it got so torn up that we were running up this. We had to remount up at the top and really have ourselves composed for this descent, which was very tricky. I started to the left, hopped in the middle line, then went all the way to the right. Another preferable line by many riders was just staying right the entire way. But at the base of that descent, we had a really nice rut hooking to the left. We could carry our momentum, and if we were on top of the gear, really just carry our momentum through that section. We come right into this last big run up of the course. It's a really heavy run up section where it's just so steep and the mud is so thick that it was very difficult to have quick feet the entire way up. You're really just slogging it up, and later in the race, the steps were really slow. But up over that route, remounting in this rut here, we'll try to see Thibaut go down. He has a little bit of a gap, but there's a really nice rut forming here, and it's just a really technical downhill section. Stay in that rut, then we're hooking to the left here. Stay in that rut again, and there's a nice rut hooking us right to the bottom. And then it's really straightforward to the finish here. We're within the last minute of the course, and the sprint really starts here if you're with someone. But this course was so difficult where not a lot of riders were coming to the finish in a group. So we bent left there. We're really on a pavement section, and it's a slight downhill to the finish here. And this is really the last chance to regroup and catch your breath. Here we have a bit of mud spraying up onto the lens here. Again, my apologies for the muddy lens, but this really gives you an idea what our point of view as racers are in a wet and muddy course. So we're down that hill, turning onto the pavement, and that's really the course. It's really versatile and heavy track that made you really gauge your effort, and this turned into a race against the course more than a race against your competitors. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more videos through the course of the cyclocross season and share with your friends. You can visit curtisjwhite.com for more content. Take care, stay healthy, keep riding, and we'll catch you next in Zolder.